Uh-oh. Oh dear. This can't be good. I wonder what's escaped this time. Oh boy, I really need to run a tighter ship. Maybe step up security measures a little bit. Or, oh, hello. How nice to see you here again in the Mask Fan Attic. Don't worry about a thing. Everything's under control. Always nice to see you up here in the attic above Horror Hotel, where we discuss noteworthy old latex Halloween masks. Tonight's mask, boy, this is a classic to me. Not a movie character, but a classic of maskdom, a classic of Halloween's past. It's none other than the lovely and talented Hanging I Do. That's 3 words. Hanging, like hanging around. I, E-Y-E, and then the last word, do, spelled with 2 O's, D-O-O. Hanging I Do. Presumably no relation to Scooby. No. I don't think Hanging I and Scooby are the Do brothers. No, it doesn't work like that. Or even the Doobie Brothers. No. But Hanging I Do, a classic from Be Something Studios, first came along a long time ago. I have to tell you, a long time ago indeed, especially in mask years. Came along in 1976 and was in production through 1980, during which time you saw it everywhere. It was at a lot of haunted houses. This was kind of the first, or one of the first, really gory, bloody, gruesome masks anybody had seen. There were some very cheap little flimsy Halloween masks with you know, something wrong with one eye, but this took it to another level. This took it to the next level back then. To see the guy with a fairly realistic looking eyeball actually dangling out of his face like that, that was pretty distinctive and pretty disturbing and a really unique and dramatic and scary thing. Prior to this, I think masks with one bad eyeball normally had like one kind of oversized gory eyeball, kind of cartoony, more like in I Was a Teenage Frankenstein, but this one gave you a pretty realistic eye hanging out. Okay, pretty realistic and creepy looking, and was very disturbing back in 1976 through 1980, and when it was reissued again, 82 through 84. Now, somewhere in there was another version called, and I'm not even kidding, I Do Too, E-Y-E-D-O-O-T-W-O. That was, you know, kind of like 2.0, and yeah. Now, I Do Too, I never cared for that one too much. It was sort of whimsical. It looked a little cartoony to me. The flesh looked really squishy and lumpy, whereas this one actually looked scary. I thought it looked so dried out and shriveled and withered, and I just thought it was creepier. And for some reason, I Do Too had some yellow stuff dripping out in addition to the red stuff, and a lot of them had white hair instead of gray hair. But overall, the original edition, this one, is my favorite. Now, interestingly, in later years, much later years, more recently, Jordu Shell, no less a luminary in the monster world than Jordu, resculpted this one for Zagoni, who is Be Something Studios today. It's mostly the same people. It used to be Be Something. Today, their masks are from Zagoni Studios. And the new version is called, I'm not even kidding, the newer version is called Why Yes I Do. Yeah, so there was Hanging I Do Too, and Why Yes I Do, all part of the I Do clan. It would kind of be fun to have all three, wouldn't it? Now, as you might expect, Jordu's take on this design is a little more, biologically and anatomically plausible, a little more medically accurate and realistic looking than this one. But this one's still my favorite. I love the Jordu version too, but this one's my favorite because I feel like I kind of grew up with it. I've looked at this thing so many years, I kind of feel like he's a relative or something, like we know each other. He's an old friend. Now, the eye, the way they got this eye to look shiny and glassy and look this much like a real eye, very, very clever stuff on the part of the folks at Be Something Studios back in the 70s. They came up with the idea of sticking plastic eyes in the mask instead of just sculpting it and painting it. Now, as you can see, this, well, the dangly bit here with the optic nerve and the eye socket there, that's a separate piece that's glued onto each mask. And then this little plastic eyeball is something that was sold at joke shops and novelty stores and theme parks and such. A little practical joke item called eyeballs for highballs, because they were weighted on the back, and the thing is you would take them to a place where human beings were consuming alcohol, and when the human looked away you would drop an eyeball in his drink and it would always float face up because the back was slightly weighted, and he would look down and the drink would look back at him, and that was what passed for humor at the time, you see. So they had the idea at Be Something to incorporate those eyes into their masks, and there were some others that had these same kind of became a Be Something horror trademark, that the look of that eyeball. They were used in other masks like their Quasimodo, and one of my favorites of all time, their Warlock, had both eyes done this way, where they would sculpt an empty socket and then each mask would have a plastic eye popped into the socket. Now a lot of times these weren't even glued, so you could roll the eye all around there. You see there, don't roll your eyes at me. Yeah. You could roll the eye around, because sometimes they weren't even glued, they were just popped in, and because of the rubber and being the way it was, you know, sort of grabbing onto it, it would stay just fine without glue even, but always looked cool and scary. Another interesting facet of this particular mask is that you'll notice back then, because this is from the late 70s, this one, you'll notice blood on masks back then wasn't really super hyper realistic like blood today. If you buy a mask made recently that has what looks like blood dripping on it, or blood, you know, in its teeth or in a cut or something, it really looks like really wet, sticky, realistic human blood. But back then, red paint was good enough, because red paint signified blood, and it gave you that nice shock effect, that nice startling, gruesome, gory effect, even though, yeah, looking at it today, I would say, yeah, that looks like red paint more than realistic blood, but it still works, you know, it still works, and it's still fun, and I still recommend Hanging I Do highly. He's kind of a classic to me. Back in 1979, 1980, somebody, it's dusty up here, somebody was marketing t-shirts in connection with the Lucio Fulci movie Zombie, with the word zombie, and a picture of this mask on it, and there doesn't seem to be much evidence of that today, so I don't know whether that was you know, legitimate, or whether that was just something that somebody did, maybe some theater owner that was showing zombie. I don't know. Maybe it was a legitimate studio endorsed promotional item for the release of Zombie, aka Zombie Flesh Eaters, or maybe it was more like those t-shirts you buy out of the backs of cars from guys while you're waiting in line at a concert. You know, the Metallica shirt, maybe it's like that kind of thing. But anyway, again, from 82 through 84, Hanging I Do was available. I Do Too, available 80 and 81, and then re-released 1983 and back in production until 91. So you would think there would be a lot more of I Do Too, because he was in production for such a long time, and a few years later, more recently, than this guy. And yet, I don't see him in people's collections turning up like this one. Probably because I Do Too was a little bit cartoony, like I said before, a little bit whimsical. This one, more creepy, more scary. Looks like something from an old horror comic book, doesn't it? So, well, until next week, be sure and brush after every meal, and eat all your vegetables, because I do.